Hi, I'm Lakeisha Wilson, nutritionist with the Ministry of Health and Human Services. Happy World Hypertension Day. The World Hypertension League celebrates World Hypertension Day on May 17th every year, and the Turks and Caicos Islands is no exception. So we join the international community in celebrating World Hypertension Day on May 17th. As nutritionist for the Ministry of Health, I am deeply concerned about the high sodium intake in the diets of many. And on this very occasion, we would like to highlight the importance of limiting your sodium intake. High blood pressure is one of the leading causes of cardiovascular disease and one of the leading causes of death in the Turks and Caicos Islands. I hereby encourage all of you to take heart and do your part to lower your risk for high blood pressure. So it is recommended that we have no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium in one day. And that's equivalent to about 1 teaspoon of salt. However, on average, the majority of persons are having about 3,500 milligrams of sodium in one day. And if we are not paying close attention to our dietary intake, that can quickly add up, and we can exceed the daily recommended allowance, and therefore we can in turn increase our sodium intake and increase our risk for hypertension. As we make an effort to reduce our intake, we want to be aware of the foods that are high in sodium. So come along with me as we do a little grocery shopping tour here. I have on my table a variety of food items that are very popular. These foods are our go-to foods because they're readily available, they are affordable, and they're easy to prepare. But unfortunately, these foods are very high in sodium. Our popular noodles. It has become extremely popular, especially during the pandemic, and we find that they are not even on the shelves as much. As quickly as they are loaded onto the shelves are empty. However, I want to caution persons on the use of this particular product because it's very high in sodium. If we look at the packet, it has about 1,160 milligrams of sodium. And that is for the entire serving size, the entire packet. All right? So when you look at 1,160 milligrams of sodium, that is like half of the entire recommended amount for the day in one particular food item. So this is very concerning because it is you can quickly add up to your 2,300 milligrams, and we want to try to limit our intake of these type of food items. We also have another one that's very popular, and it also has 1,300 milligrams of sodium. And some persons are having more than one of these for the entire day. And so that excludes all the other food items that they may be eating. When we look at our condiments, if you're adding ketchup, if you're adding creamy sauces to your salads, you can quickly be increasing your sodium intake with that. For example, there is 260 milligrams of sodium in this creamy ranch salad dressing. All right? Now, how do you know when it's too much sodium in a particular product? 400 milligrams of sodium or less is considered to be a low sodium product. So when you're shopping and you're looking at your labels, always read your labels to make sure that the item has about 400 milligrams of sodium or less, or no more than 10% of the recommended daily allowance. This is a good guidance to help you stick within your limits. This is also another popular food item. Pancakes. Lots of us enjoy pancakes, but how much sodium is in our pancake mix? We know that this is another packaged and processed food item. So we look at the sodium and it says 520 milligrams of sodium. So there you have it, and it's about 23% of the daily value. So you get where I'm going. We are quickly adding up all of the salt for the entire day, and we are noticing that we are exceeding our limits. Spaghetti and meatballs. How many of us moms out there offer this to our kids? If we look at the sodium intake, it has 750 milligrams of sodium, almost double the amount that is recommended for you to have at any one serving. So, listeners, consumers, I'm encouraging you to read your labels, because if you want to limit your risk for developing high blood pressure, watching your salt intake is very important. Reading your food labels, reading your nutrition facts labels will help you to make informed decisions about your food purchases. Popular food items like corned beef and Vienna sausage, these are also laden with salt. So if you happen to be regular consumers of these items, you want to cut down your intake of these food products. Also, be aware of seasonings like the chicken bouillon, the cubes. They are usually laden with sodium, and they have monosodium glutamate, which makes it even more saltier. And I have a variety of seasonings here. We usually find lots of these in our pantries, and they are also loaded with salt. So you might be saying, well, it seems as if everything is loaded with salt. So what am I to use? Well, we do have very good alternatives for you, and I'm going to show you in a second. And I also want to highlight some of the so-called healthy snacks that persons might gravitate towards, but they're not reading the label and noticing that it has salted. So if you're picking up some nuts, it's preferred that you choose unsalted over salted. This too will help you to limit your sodium intake. Also, a lot of our cookies and crackers that we snack on or that we offer to kids, many times they too are loaded with salt. The Club Social that we have here, it has salt sprinkled on the top of it. It's visible to the eye. And if you read the packet, it has a high amount of salt. So all of this is added salt that comes from your snacks, that comes from your breakfast items, your lunch, dinner items throughout the entire day. All right, so be aware of that. And even cheese. Yes, cheese is also high in salt. So make sure, especially when you're choosing your cheese, look for the lower sodium versions or choose white over yellow cheese. So all this talk about salt and sodium, it might appear as if salt and sodium is bad, as if it has a negative connotation attached to it. I would definitely say that salt has its place in our diet. It has a role to play, especially in nerve impulses. It has a role to play in muscle functioning. And so we definitely don't want to disregard it as if it's not important. It has a special function in our bodies, but our goal is to ensure that we are not exceeding the recommended daily allowances and we are taking in only what is needed. Salt will help with our blood volume. It will help to ensure that we don't develop high blood pressure if we don't exceed its limits. So everything in moderation. And that is my main focus here, to ensure that persons are aware that they can enjoy their food, they can eat and be satisfied, but everything in moderation. Moderation is key. All right? So I want to share with you some healthy alternatives to the high sodium foods when you're doing your shopping, okay? A lot of times when you go in the grocery store, you're looking for a particular seasoning and you're not sure what to pick up. Well, try Mishra's Dash. They have a variety of options available. You can choose different flavors. They have chicken, they have the grilled flavor. They have so many different flavors that you can choose from, and it's salt-free. That simply means that it has no salt added. It's all natural, and they use herbs and spices to flavor. And that is what I want to encourage you to do. At home, you can make your own natural blend of seasonings using natural herbs and spices. You can use natural herbs and spices, especially turmeric, right? And this is very important during the time of the pandemic when we're focusing on increasing or boosting our metabolism, our immune system, So this here is very important in our diet at this time to help boost our immunity and ward off our defense against viruses. So including this in your food preparation is key. We have some cinnamon and cloves. These are also spices that you can use in your food preparation. I can tell you, when it comes to using cinnamon, I can testify that cinnamon really adds a nice flavor to your food. Have you ever tried it in stew? Or have you ever tried it in cooking chicken and rice or cook-up? If you were to add a little pinch of cinnamon to your stew or to your cook-up, it just gives it a very nice potent flavor, and the aroma is just authentic. The aroma gravitates you to the food and it gets your taste buds going. So I want to encourage you to experiment with your herbs and spices. Don't limit your intake to just complete seasoning or Lorry's, all of these things that we gravitate towards. Launch out, try onions, the garlic, ginger, celery. All of these can be used. You can blend them up, hot peppers, blend them all together and add them in your food preparation to help reduce your sodium intake. Also, I have here some canned products. These canned products are popularly used. We use lots of sardines on the island. We use lots of tuna on the island. Are they bad for us? No, they're not bad for us. However, it's important that when we purchase these items that we make sure that we're choosing those that have healthier options in terms of fat. Because when it comes to hypertension, it's not just about sodium. It's also important for us to be aware of calories. It's important for us to be aware of fat and also of sugar. So reading your labels is key. I cannot overemphasize that more enough. I also have pink salmon. I have 2 cans of pink salmon. You can choose whichever one you like. But pink salmon is a healthy alternative in terms of sodium. When you look at how much sodium is in 1 can of pink salmon, it's only 230 milligrams, and that's just 10%. And that's less than 400 milligrams, and it's right at 10%, so it meets all of the recommended dietary guidelines. So you're within your limits with something like this. All right? And we did have a package of instant oatmeal. The instant oatmeal, yes, it's quick and easy and sometimes cheaper. However, this is loaded with sodium. And I want to encourage persons to opt out of the instant oatmeal and choose old-fashioned oats. And I have here with me some old-fashioned oats. This is high in fiber, and that is a very important ingredient, or I would say is very important in helping to control your blood pressure, high fiber. So you want to try to look for the old-fashioned oats. I'm gonna open it up here. We just want to look at the difference. If we look at the difference in the way the oats actually look, all right, here we have large grains. These large grains is what you need, not the overly processed, refined instant oatmeal that you would find in these packets. All right? And when you look at the sodium content is literally 0 milligrams of sodium. But if you were to check the sodium content for the instant, you would see that it has lots of sodium. So you do have options out there. You just need to be reading your labels and looking for the best items for you and your family. And as I mentioned, oils, our fats and oils, they have an important role to play as well. And you want to ensure that you're choosing healthy oils. Stay away from vegetable oils and corn oils. And back then we said that canola oil was okay, but more research is showing us more information about canola oil, and that is not necessarily as healthy. And so I'm encouraging you to choose flaxseed oil, olive oil, and even coconut oil. These are high in monounsaturated fats, omega-3 fatty acids, and especially our coconut oil is high in medium chain triglycerides, MCTs. MCTs are very heart protective. Omega-3s, very heart protective. So these are the things that are going to help to lower your blood pressure, because it's going to present an anti-inflammatory response in the body. And this will help to keep the blood pressure within the normal range. I have here with me some bread. We know that bread is a staple in our diet, and most of us sometimes gravitate towards one bread and the other, but of course we know wheat is best. And so that is one of the emphasis in the diet of a person who wants to control their blood pressure. You want to select foods that are high in fiber, and that will include whole grains. So making at least half of your grains whole is ideal. So limiting the intake of white breads is preferred because these are higher in sodium and their nutritional value is very low. When you look at the fiber intake, you would probably only get 1 gram of fiber as opposed to 2 to 3 or more grams of fiber per serving in whole wheat bread. And as I mentioned, it's not just about salt, but it's also about fat, calories, and sugar. I have some containers here that will show you how much sugar is actually in some of our popular soda beverages like Coca-Cola or Sprite. You can quickly get about 39 grams of sugar in 1 can of Coke soda, and that's equivalent to about 8 to 9 teaspoons of sugar. And how do I know that? Well, we simply divide the 39 grams by 4, and you would get roughly 8 to 9 teaspoons of sugar. So all of these combined is going to actually affect your blood pressure. It's not just one particular food item or one mineral or vitamin alone. However, it is imperative that we make a conscious effort to control our dietary salt intake. And we can also do that by increasing our intake of nuts, peas, and beans. Legumes, going meatless one day out of the week and having a dish with peas or beans. And this is low sodium because in its natural state, it has very little to no salt. But when you choose the canned varieties, then you have to worry about sodium. So I'm encouraging you also to bear in mind that when you're purchasing your canned beans, look for the low sodium versions, or if those are not available, you can always drain and rinse twice, and that will help you to get rid of some of the excess salt. All right, and that wraps up our discussion on the salt alternatives. Here is your typical 9-inch plate. And we like to encourage persons to use this 9-inch plate as your guide for planning your meals. And if you look at the plate, it's color coordinated and it's divided into 4 sections. And the section that I want to focus on is fruits and vegetables, because the fruits and vegetables are low in sodium and high in fiber. They're going to keep you full longer, and they're going to make sure that you're not getting too much or any salt at all. So you can enjoy it liberally. You can have lots of it. And then your grains. When we think about grains, we always want to ensure that we are making at least half of our grains whole grains. So that means you're going to look for the whole grain versions over white versions. So limiting your intake of white breads, white rice, white flour will help to do just that. And protein. Make fish your go-to source of protein. And when it comes to protein, you want to choose the And when it comes to protein, always look for the, oh gosh, it's like the word just gone out of my head. Poultry, the word poultry. That's the word. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Ready? And for your protein sources, you can choose fish, chicken, beef, pork, any of those. However, we strongly advise or encourage persons to choose more lean sources of protein and limiting red meat. So that means that we want you to enjoy healthy options of chicken, skinless preferred, boneless if you can, and you want to ensure that you're removing all visible fat, trimming all excess fat off of your poultry, and that includes chicken or turkey. And if you can, try to have fish at least twice for the week, and this will help you to have a balanced diet. And you also notice a little section here for dairy, because we don't want to leave dairy out. Because what we've noticed with hypertension is that a diet that is high in calcium, potassium, and magnesium, those 3 minerals combined, it really helps to lower the blood pressure. Again, a diet that is rich in 3 minerals, namely potassium, magnesium, and calcium. Those 3 minerals combined help to lower the blood pressure. So including dairy will help you to get the recommended intake of calcium in your diet. You can get it from other sources too, especially your greens, right? Like spinach and broccoli and callaloo. So you can get it from plant sources too, and you can ensure that you're taking in the recommended amount of calcium, potassium, and magnesium from a variety of food sources. All right, so I have a variety of foods on the table just to give you an idea of how you can go about getting your recommended daily intake. And I have here some blueberries. Blueberries are very, very healthy. They are loaded with antioxidants and polyphenols. These are phytonutrients that are very heart protective. They help to reduce an inflammatory response in the body, and this is very, very important to help to lower the blood pressure, because one of the things that we have seen through research with chronic disease is that it's significantly linked to inflammatory response. So if we have a high inflammatory diet, then we have to counteract that with an anti-inflammatory diet, and increasing our intake of these fruits will help to do just that. So the blueberries, the grapes, and raspberries, and these are the serving sizes that you're allowed, and you're good to go. I also have some of the more popular watermelon and cantaloupe. These are very, very healthy, very good. They're loaded with fiber, lots of vitamins and minerals, and you would definitely be getting the potassium, magnesium, and calcium that you need when you're taking in a variety of fruits. Also, vegetables. I would encourage you to stick closer to the green leafy, dark green leafy and colored vegetables. They are loaded with nutrients. They are loaded with the magnesium and the potassium that you need. So try to ensure that you're having at least 2 cups of vegetables and 1.5 cups of fruits for the day. And if you were wondering on how you can have a healthy plate, here's a healthy plate. You want to make sure that you're having a good portion of protein, and the protein should be the size of the palm of your hand or the size of a deck of cards, right? And that should be about 6 ounces at one particular meal. And the carbohydrate or your grains, we have here some potatoes, a nice baked potato with a little piece of butter, unsalted butter, and a nice serving of carrots. And there you have it. You have a nice balanced meal, and this meal should be able to satisfy you and provide the essential nutrients that you need to get you through your day. There you have it. Once again, guys, I'm Lakeisha Wilson, nutritionist with the Ministry of Health and Human Services. And if you happen to have any nutrition-related questions, kindly give us a call at 338-5470. Happy World Hypertension Day.